What's going on, CineNerds?
Hey, I'm JP,
And I'm Ryan.
and before we dive in today's episode, CineNerdsPodcast.com, we have all of our episodes there, links to where all of our episodes are for our audio listeners, for our video watchers. There's a shop on there. You can get some really cool outfits and clothing and coffee mugs and things of that nature. And we've been doing our reels. I haven't been doing any past week since I got home from tour, but I'm going to start getting back doing a 10 days of series that I've been doing. And Ryan's been doing the prophecy series he's been releasing. Those reels are on there. They're on the socials. They're on YouTube. They're out there. So CineNerdsPodcast.com.
Yeah, I'm gonna finish up the prophecy series, I think, this week, and I've got a few other movies I'm gonna delve into. But also, I have a question for you, JP. Off the top of your head, what number episode is this for us?
Oh, is it 102 or 101?
So this is
No, no,
definitely
we're
no,
way past 100.
yeah,
We're probably at like 103 or 104, I think.
yeah. So that's what I was gonna say. When you go into cinenerdspodcast.com, we've got literally over 100 episodes in there to check out. So if you have a movie, you can kind of glance over and look at all those things, and I'll shut up about it, and we'll just dig into this wonderful episode we got going on here.
And today, Ryan's choice was the film. I think this is a 2025 film, correct?
No, so it's 2023 technically, but it was released in August of 24.
Okay, so the film is Strange Darling. And initial reactions, do you want me to go? You want to go first?
Go ahead.
So I watched this film back. I think it was at the first of the year this year. I think is why I was thinking it was a 2025 film. And I watched it solely based on very specifically Rick Polton's recommendation from the whole damn enchilada. Like he fucking loved this film. And I saw a bunch of other like quick reviews and people raving about this film and everything. So I went into this film with pretty fucking high expectations when I watched it back at the first of the year. It may have been even the end of last year, so it may have been 2024 when I watched it. But I went in with pretty high expectations from everything I was hearing from different people. And I will say, my initial reaction to watching this film the first time back almost a year ago or a year ago, I was a little let down. I'm not going to lie because of what everybody was telling me. I was expecting something just over the top fantastic. And I'm not saying that it's not a great film. This film, I went into it with too high of expectations based off what I was hearing. So I watched it and came out of it a little bit let down, but I did enjoy it. I did not dislike it. I just wasn't as hyped about it as what everybody else was, I feel like.
What are you, a rookie? We know that we can't go into these films with the high expectations. We've gotten
Yeah.
into this. We've talked about this before because when you go into something with high expectations, it's usually always a letdown. So I go into every film at this point with low expectations and not hoping for it. I've even slowed down on watching trailers. I used to geek out about watching trailers. I try and avoid them just so I can get that full feel right off the rip.
Yeah, if you remember, I've actually said multiple times, I think I've even told you, I've went into certain movies completely blind and not watched trailers because I want to be surprised. And I want
And
to that experience,
and
especially
our
if it's a movie I'm really excited. Kind of like I started this with uh, one of the Godzilla movies, and I refused to watch any trailers, anything. I think it might have been the first Godzilla Kong film. I refused to watch any trailers. I wanted to go in blind because I didn't want to know a fucking thing about it. And I loved doing that. And once I did that first time, now I'm kind of pretty hardcore on it, you know.
I'm not hardcore per se because there still is an element of excitement when you see a trailer. So I still like going to the movies early and seeing what trailers they play for us. But like, I'll tell you what, like, there's the movie we're gonna review next week. That was your choice. I didn't watch a single thing, didn't watch a trailer, knew nothing about it, and yeah, so I'm glad I went into it with the expectation I did because it paid off.
Yeah. So like the next 2 weeks, this week's episode and next week's episode are really It was mine and Ryan's picks, and they're more indie films. You know, this is more of an indie film. And next week's episode, we're doing Alma and the Wolf, and it's an indie film. And once we get past these two, we're diving into more of our holiday theme for Christmas again. So, and next week is it'll be right at our 2-year anniversary.
All right. So should I give my impression ever or no,
No,
I'm just fucking with you. 2-year
I,
anniversary is pretty impressive. I will say I'm pretty damn stoked about that.
I like to hear myself talk.
I mean, I do too. My wife tells me all the time, "Ryan, I'm not even listening," you know? No, but so this movie is a movie that I had just heard, people speak highly of, but not giving away anything, and I did not watch a trailer for this, and so if when you start this movie, I'll just say this, the first line is the 2 characters, which are the lady and the demon, and they're sitting in a pickup truck, and she just looks over at him, and she just goes, "Are you a serial killer?" And that's how it starts, and so, like, you already have this crazy expectation just off the first line that you're thinking in your head, and you're thinking this lady is innocent, and things evolve from there. So, I definitely, left this movie excited and, kinda reinvigorated with film a little bit, not gonna lie.
Yeah, this film's beautifully shot. Shot on 35 millimeter,
Yep.
and I read that the studio actually did a recut of this film. Did you read about this?
So, yeah, so this was an argument between TJ Moeller and, Miramax Films. They actually tried to cut ties with them twice during the process of this filming, and it didn't because of contracts and, everything, it didn't pan out, but I guess they did their own cut without his permission, and they put it in chronological order. Because when for those of you who are not familiar with this film it goes in a really odd order. It does chapter three, chapter six chapters and an epilogue, but it goes chapter three, chapter five, chapter one, chapter four, chapter two, chapter six, epilogue. So these parts bounce all over the place, but it's done beautifully. The way that we got it, I feel was done beautifully, but I would not have wanted to see it in order, and Miramax's cut was all in order, and, they wanted to show that as a test screening, but there was a clause in that contract, and the clause was that they had to show the original cut as the director intended, the director's cut, also to the screening, audience, and it just crushed, so, I was happy that this is the cut we got.
I think if this film was done in chronological order, it would have gave way too much away, and I
Yeah,
don't think it would have worked as well as the director's cut of the film where it's out of sequence. You know it.
right.
Um, but I don't know. I wouldn't want to see one the way the studio did it, but the first time I watched this, watching it, the chapters out of order the way it's intended threw me for a bit of a loop the first time.
It did me as well, and I'll tell you what, there's a lot of movies that when I watch them, that are shot and done like this intentionally, where they're out of order and you have to get pieces and parts as you go along. Sometimes it really puts me off, but the first time I was getting annoyed, like, through the first 3, and, then I'm like, "Wait a minute, this is coming together alright. I'm hanging through this," and I'm glad I did.
The only thing I could see that could have been done differently would be if you did a chronological order of this film, but cut all the giveaway scenes and then put the giveaway scenes on the back end towards the end, showing
I'm Yeah, I mean,
what
if it could
happens.
if it could work, then why not?
But, regardless, that's not what we're getting. This is what we got. We got the out of sequence chapters. So, and it starts with the lady running through a field, uh, and it takes off from there. So,
Well, no, even before that, I don't know, is there, like, a prologue? Because there's that truck sequence. So the f
see, I was thinking the truck sequence actually came after that. I thought it started with her running through running through the field. Then it shows her asking if if you're a serial killer, and then it goes to the truck chase, I believe,
I think you're right. I think that's how it did go.
because her
But the
running
first
through the field, the credits are rolling
well,
at the
the
beginning.
first, that's right, and then the first line that said was, "Are you a serial killer?" Yeah, that's
Yep,
right.
yep. And the truck scene is a pretty cool scene. I mean, you got this old Ford Pinto running down this country back road with the truck chasing it, and all of a sudden you see the truck just stop in the middle of the road, and the driver, the demon is what they call him, gets out, gets on the back of his truck, pulls his rifle out, and shoots through the back window, and the Pinto wrecks.
Um, so let's talk about the demon and the lady a little bit. So the demon and the lady are 2 main characters through this film. The demon is played by Kyle Gallner. If you don't know that name, look it up and you'll know his face right away. He's been in a ton of stuff. He's in The Smile, he's in The Passenger, he's in the Scream movie recently, Red State, and even Smallville, JP. He
He was the
was
Flash. He was Kid
Yep,
Flash.
he was Kid Flash. And then but you know what's funny is, like, I still feel like not a lot of people remember him, but his recent movies are starting to pop, and he's starting to do a lot better, and same with this Willa Fitzgerald. I was actually blown away because these guys are pretty new in the grand scheme of the, Hollywood scene as far as coming up, and I was pretty blown away at their acting in this. Their acting actually was really, really, really good. And the whole thing is even furthered by a couple other names that are in here. Now, if you don't know this name, I again will tell you to look this up because you'll know the face right away. But Giovanni Ribischi, he was Phoebe's brother on Friends, just to give you a face if that helps. But he this was the first time he's in this movie in a small part, but he also was the director of photography or cinematography. I forgot what it was, but he that was his first time he had ever done that. And then, Jason Patrick actually is the true crime narrator for
Yeah, that's
this.
what I was about to say. Jason Patrick's the
Yeah.
narrator.
There's some great, little, like, supporting things going on here, and I was here for all this. I really was taken into I was so pulled in by their acting. I think their acting's really what made it go, and the way that the chapters break out here, like I said, the first time I watched it, I was kinda put off, for the first couple, and then as it started coming together nicely, I was so pulled into it, by between the acting and everything that I felt this movie is one of the better ones that paced well that I've seen in a while. Like, at no point was I bored, annoyed by how long a scene was taking. I was content.
See, that's where I'm gonna actually disagree with you. Um, this movie, it starts okay, and I like they get she gets into the old people hippie people's house, which is another actor you would recognize. That was
Yeah.
Ed Begley Jr. He has like 400 movie credits. Like he
The
has been in shit for fucking decades.
the wife
Uh,
too.
yeah, and the wife. Um, but to me, honestly, I don't really enjoy this film until it's about 50 minutes in. And it's not that the pacing's off. I think it's just the way what the content is in that first 50 minutes. Like, it almost pulls me out. I was like, there's something about it that I just can't identify with or grasp onto for some reason. And it's not that it's
No,
slow. It's not that the pacing's bad.
no, no,
The
no.
pacing,
It's uncomfortable, for
yeah.
some people. It's not for me, but it's kinda like, kink sex, if you will,
Hmm.
and they keep going back to this hotel scene, and for a good reason. But the way that the picture, I like how the chapters are done because the picture that it's painting is painting the demon as the serial killer, as the bad guy, and the way you're seeing it, and you're thinking that he's going to turn into this horrible person, and things just don't go that way. I mean, kind of, but it's more of a revenge story from him.
Yeah. Yeah. But for me, I don't really fall in love with this film until like the last 40 minutes of it. Like the first 50 minutes or so is I just can't latch on to, but that last 40 to 50 minutes of the film, I fucking loved. Like to me, that's where I latch on to this film at. And it's not just my first watch. I felt the same way on this second watch.
I didn't. I appreciated it more on the second watch, honestly, because of the, now I knew now I understood the breakout of the chapters and the purpose behind it, and so I felt better going into that, and to me, as those things, because 'cause I'm one of those people who, like, if a movie pulls me in and there's good acting and good things are happening, even if it's taking a little bit to get to that point, I'm pulled in because I wanna know the next thing that's gonna happen. I wanna know why, I wanna know how it's piecing together, and so those things keep my interest and pull me in as I start figuring out what those clues mean and how it all comes together.
And I get that because the acting in this film, start to finish, the dialogue, start to finish in this film, are fantastic. Like they did just I can't even comprehend how great of a job everybody in this film really did.
Um, and it's at the end of the film, but I will say this one quote, there's a specific line, like, there's so many parts in this actually that are really deep and meaningful moments, from the actors, but, like, there's this part towards the end where the lady is sitting in the back of a cop car, and she looks down to the right, and she, like, kind of, like, goes off in her own head, like, you just see her, like, almost empty stare, and she goes, "Sometimes I don't even see humans, I just see devils," and the way she said it and the way she's looking off, I was so pulled in at that moment and so vested in that character, I was like, "That's dark, that's deep."
Yeah, yeah, and there's yeah, again, I said at the top of the episode, this film's beautifully shot. This film, I mean, is everything about this film is beautiful with with how the shots are, with the colors, the coloring of this film. I love the coloring of this film. The actors' portrayal of these characters, the dialogue, the the odd stuff like that. That's like her looking at her reflection in a mirror, and especially towards at the end, she's looking at herself in like the rearview mirror or the side mirror or whatever. And there's really weird shots that just I think are they're beautifully done. They're just beautiful. Even the gore in this is
Yeah.
beautifully done. Like
Eh
everything in this film is very beautifully done and tasteful.
Yeah, the 35 millimeter definitely adds to like, even the crackle of the cigarette being lit, because there's so many cigarette lighting scenes in this. The 35 millimeter just, like, accentuates those things. I think I actually was listening to some other people's opinions and reviews on it because I just wanted to make sure I wasn't completely crazy that because I love this movie, and so I wanted to see if anyone was really hating on it. I didn't really see any of that, but one of the quotes I saw was, "This movie was made of Tarantino DNA." And I kinda was like, "Okay, I can understand that, I can respect that because the way it's built, the way it comes together, I kinda felt that vibe a little bit."
It is very Tarantino. It's it's like a very artsy Tarantino
Yep.
style. So yeah, I could definitely see that.
Yeah, there's the part of like, the I know I keep talking about the ending, but obviously, we're just gonna say our 2 main characters, it doesn't go well for them, but, at the very end, though, there's also a natural born killers moment to me where, you see I don't know if you watch the transition from color to black and white as she fades out, and I was like, "That's beautiful, that's crisp, I love it."
Well, even I got a lot of Natural Born Killers vibes throughout this film, and that's not even the Tarantino, that's the Oliver Stone style for me that I was catching.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, because, I mean, no, Tarantino obviously wrote Natural Born Killers, but, Oliver Stone directed it, and, like, even, like, the scenes with, the lady and the demon in the sitting in the truck together before they go into the hotel room, with just the conversations, felt very Mallory to me almost. And I felt that really this second watch. I don't think I felt it the first watch, but the second watch, some of that stuff with like them in the truck, kind of like at the very beginning, are you a serial killer? And then as the movie goes on, there's actually a big scene with them in that truck where she actually asked that, "Are you a serial killer?" Uh, and I got a really big Mickey and Mallory vibe in that. Maybe not Mickey, but more of a Mallory with her.
Yeah, when you don't know where it's gonna go and you're watching it, like, for the first time, like, that opening sequence, I could see that vibe, but to me, Mallory was kind of, still a trashy kinda hillbilly person, and this woman's a little more meticulous in her plotting and her her, I don't know, path of destruction.
And what was the the serial killer's name? Was it
The Electric Lady.
the electric lady? Yeah, and that's because she carves a EL in all of her victims. So
Yes. No, this movie though, like seriously, is just it's just beautiful. So if you have not seen this movie, I don't want to before we really dig in a little bit deeper here, I don't want it to get too crazy. So just pause it and come back and watch. But this movie definitely is beautiful. We start out with chapter 3. We said that, and it man, I don't this movie it has this is one of those movies that after you watch it, it sits with you, it stays with you. You think about what just happened, you think about what you just watched, and I love these kind of movies. So, like, everything is kind of par for the course and kinda what you'd expect, hotel kink aside, but when they get to the prepper's house, the hippie's house, that's
mhm.
where this really starts escalating. I don't know if that's the 50-minute mark you're talking about.
It
Is
kind
that
of is because it's like basically right after, even though some of the stuff with the hippies is in that 50 minutes, but after the kink part, and really kind of the tail end of the kink part is where I get drawn in. Like where I get drawn in is after you get past all the kinky sex part where she wants to be choked and basically he's basically role playing that he's a serial killer and they're kink, right?
I mean, more or less, she wants him to be assertive and be in charge, and she's, like, basically calling out what he should be doing to her and,
Yeah.
uh, telling him he's not man enough because he's not hitting her hard enough. Like, it's intense.
Yeah. And so where it really pulls me back in is after the kinky sex part, uh, she gets up and she goes and grabs a bag of Coke and cons him into doing Coke with her. And she goes and kneels down and she pulls a separate vial. It's in a glass vial of looks like Coke, but obviously at this point you know that this is different than what she just showed him. And she lays out two separate lines of cocaine on the mirror and she does her line and then he gives him the other line. That's where it really drew me back in because I was like, okay, I like where this is going because she's giving him something else. What you find out is um what's that? It's the K hole drug, isn't it? The
Ketamine?
ketamine. He snorts up like this huge
Yeah.
line of ketamine. And all of that's where I really, really get into the film. You know, she's going through his wallet. He's passed out. He's like laying there, can't move in the on the bed, and then she comes back in and starts carving the EL in him, and he gets to where he can move some, and she finds out that he is a police officer, and he shoots her in that scene, and is like randomly shooting because he doesn't have full control. Like all that is where I really drew back into this film.
I can understand that. I to me, like I said, I just love the story building because 'cause you're finding out about these people, but when the actual plot begins with that stuff, that definitely does get a lot more intriguing. So I was definitely a fan of that. And to go back to your point of when he's in his truck and he's chasing the Pinto, he when he's trying to catch her, he is now trying to wake himself up from the ketamine by he's got a giant bag of coke and as he's driving, he's snorting this coke so he can be adrenalized, be awake
Yeah.
because he's injured too.
And that's where the chapters out of sequence is fantastic because
Yes.
in the opening chapter, which is chapter 3, he's chasing her and snorting, just constantly snorting cocaine, and you think this guy's a fucking madman.
You
But
think that
then
he is the killer. Yeah.
but then by closer to that 50-minute mark, you find out that he's been drugged with ketamine and he's snorting the coke to in order to actually stay awake and with it enough to chase her. And that's why he's snorting all the cocaine. So like I love that's where it works, you know, with it being out of things like that. It's the little things that work like that with the chapters being out of sequence.
Yeah, this is like this is perception stuff to me, like, you're kinda being misdirected intentionally, and I love that, and I love that it brings it back and you understand what's going on. Yeah, she's a vicious and sociopathic serial killer without a doubt, and the the way that she comes off as innocent in the starting point and the way that they have him chasing, that's the complete flip of it. And, there's a lot of aspects of that, speaking of indie films, a lot of aspects of that same thing that we're gonna see next week in the next week's episode with the Alma and the Wolf. And by the way, I will just say this. I text JP right after I watched it, and I go, "That was a really fucking dark, depressing movie, dude." Like,
Yeah.
was not expecting that. But anyways, Strange Darling, though, this movie, the way that it ramps, but when they get to the prepper farm, I want to talk about that. So we've already talked about the actors, and they were great actors, but these are like actual preppers. They want to be off grid. They want no reliance on the outside world. So they kind of have their own little farm, their own little area. It's very isolated. Um, they how does she get in the freezer initially?
She sees him coming up the road or coming over the field. And
That's
so
right. That's right.
she starts freaking out. And this is another thing I love. Like she starts freaking out. And so she sees the freezer and she starts taking the meat out of it and throwing it in the backyard. And she gets in the freezer. When he gets in there, he's walking around and he's seeing dead body. He sees a dead body. He's going around the whole house looking for her. And he goes to the backyard and you see a bunch of chickens and all of a sudden there's frozen meat all around out in the backyard. And
Right.
that's when it dawns on him, he's like, freezer. And he goes back into the freezer.
And he puts a nice little hole through the freezer into her, and you hear her scream instantly, and she's bloody inside of it.
Yeah, it's I love, and that's another scene I loved when he walked into that backyard, and and it does this overhead shot like from above him, and you just see like a fucking turkey, fucking ham, like all these different meats, big meat things, just laying all around him in the yard, and like that shot alone, like I fucking loved it. And then he goes back in and he sits down and basically goes like, "I got you," and he just puts a bullet into that freezer.
So from here, the way this starts unfolding, it gets deep. Like they actually have a whole like back and forth conversation. Like I almost felt at one point from after he shot her, I almost felt at one point he wasn't going to leave her chained up to that thing. I almost thought they were going to like drive away into the sunset or some shit, but
Yeah.
that's not what was going on. He had other plans. Um and as they I don't know, I forgot how she got so close, but she got in there and she bit the fuck out of his neck and blood was just spraying.
Yeah, she started talking to him about how she actually really cared about him, because
Oh,
that's
that's right.
the song "Strange Darling" was gonna be their song and this and that, and he in that conversation, he moves, like, close to her, and then she grabs him and just latches on to him. Oh, nope, lying, but that is the conversation. That conversation happens, and he kinda lets his guard down. She has the bear spray in the freezer with her and sprays him with the bear spray, and he falls towards her, and
That's
that
right.
and
That's right.
she grabs onto him and literally, like, fucking Nosferatu vampire bites and rips his jugular out.
And it just the blood sprays perfectly. And then but again, this is where her, like she's already done this acting thing routine numerous times. She did it going into a little, like, bed and breakfast place. She did it, on the road multiple times. She did it with the 2 preppers. It's always the, "I'm the victim, help, 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 I'm innocent
Mhm,
girl," that type deal. So, when he shot her and she's in the freezer, she had the bear spray, but he also handcuffed her
mhm,
inside to the freezer, so she couldn't get away from the freezer. So this is before, the bear spray and the bite, but she bites his neck, he falls backwards as the blood's spraying, and all of a sudden you hear 2 other police officers because these are officers that he works with. They're coming into this house because they were already called, and so it's the, woman and sheriff, and they walk in and they're like, "Jesus Christ, what happened here?" And, because it just looks like a spray, but she, at this point, has her handcuffed to the, freezer still. She's pulled her pants down, and she's got the blood in her mouth, and he's laying there, so she's made it look like it was a rape scenario, and she's defended herself.
Yeah. And one of
So
the officers is a female officer, and so she's very sympathetic.
yeah, and so she's like being extra caring and supportive and the whole bit. They get her out of there, get her into the cop car, and she's still playing the victim. They're still talking. And at one point, because she had a gun on her, a small gun from Home Slice, and she pulls it out, and the prepper chick runs up to the sheriff's
Mhm,
car, and she's got this thing just sitting in her pocket in her coat. But the sheriff's like, "What's going on? What's going on?" And she's screaming, this girl, it was her, it was her." And before she can get many words out, she just gets shot in the head over the
mhm,
sheriff's shoulder. She goes down, and all of a sudden, the sheriffs are like kind of frozen there, and she's holding the gun at him, and says to the woman sheriff, she goes, "You were so kind to me that I really don't wanna kill you, so just hand me your guns, hand me your guns."
mhm.
Hands them up to her, they both hand their guns to her, which this part was probably the only part I get a little weird about, and this is the over analyzing, right? She grabs the woman sheriff grabs both their guns, and she turns to give them to him to put her in her lap, and both hands are on both sides of the guns, and they're pointed at this chick as she's putting the guns in her lap. I'm like, "Why wouldn't you just shoot right there? Like, why wouldn't you
Mhm.
just shoot?"
Yeah.
But I digress because, don't wanna overanalyze. So she puts them in her lap. Our lady then from there, things start to get a little dark. They start to spiral, and, by the time they're done with this scene, she has now killed 2 police officers and the prepper lady. Um she starts giving a little bit of information. That's the scene, by the way, with the sheriff, the main sheriff. The sheriff feels like he's in a safe place almost, so he starts asking a line of questioning, and he's like, "Why'd you kill all those people? Why'd you do this?" And that's when she does that dark, like, stare off scene where she's like, "I don't even see humans, I just see devils," and it stuck with me so hard, and she did that moment because of how she's just staring off, like, with this emptiness in her. Um, yeah, no,
And
dark stuff for
I
sure.
love when that sheriff gets killed because it goes back to that over the top shot
Over
over
the
the
top over the
of the br
top, and then the blood spraying up onto the windshield underneath
yeah,
from and you still have that view from top. That was great work though, for sure.
yeah.
Um, good.
Oh, no, I was just saying, yeah, I just love that because it was like, "We're gonna show you that he's dead. We're gonna show you this massive blood splatter, but it's not gonna be gory," and I love that. It kept it toned down, but it was still extreme.
Yeah, no, without a doubt. That's the thing too, like, there's so many vibes going on in this movie, it's kind of hard to put just one genre on this because there's an element of horror for sure. There's definitely some gore happening, but at the same time, you've got a lot of drama happening. You've got a thriller kind of, a little bit of action, like, it's got a little dash of everything for everyone.
Yeah, it does. It really does. And from here, the lady walks off, and she's walking down the road, and um, a car comes up, and she stops screaming for help, and does the victim again,
Yep.
and falls as this Indian lady um, helps her. It puts her in in her SUV, and it does the whole looking thing. That's where she's looking in that side mirror. She's looking in that side mirror, and she's seeing herself, and she goes to pull that gun out of her jacket again to shoot the Indian lady that's helping her at this point. But Indian lady, all you hear a gunshot, but Indian lady already saw what's up, and she shoots her
She doesn't shoot her,
in the
she's
car.
got a 38. She's got a
Yeah,
big old gun on there. You just hear the thud too. It was, like, so much more bassy than the other guns that were being used, and so when she does that, it's a good side shot, and her gun drops out of her hand. She's just staring like, "What the fuck just happened?" Like, uh, but it's a deep moment. It's definitely you can see her eyes and the self-reflectiveness, and while she's sitting there and she's contemplating, the Indian lady's already on the phone with 911 saying, "I shot
hmm
someone. I had no other choice. I'm gonna be driving her in right now." And we kinda go from there. You start seeing that color, change from the color to the black and white as she fades out.
and I love this ending. This is one I'm just gonna let this off the rip. This ending was my favorite part of the whole movie with the Indian lady shooting her dropping the gun, and her falling over. You can hear in the background, and the camera stays on the lady, and you hear in the background 911. I just shot this girl in my car. I'm on my way. please help me, blah blah. All this
Yeah,
commotion is going on in the background with her on the phone, and the shot just stays calm on the lady, and then you know it starts to the colors start to saturate, then and whatnot. And to me that's showing that her life is washing away from her. That she is
absolutely.
dying. She is dying. Colors washing away everything. She is in the process of dying in that moment, and the movie ends. Yeah, and I fucking love that ending.
Uh, Speaking of black and white, I just have to tell this because it's a funny little story, but when I was a little kid, it's like 4 or 5, because there's black and white TV back then a lot, I literally I'll never forget this, I was in the backseat of my car, and I looked at my mom and I go, "Were you alive in the black and white days?" Like, I thought, like, it was a time period. She's like, "No," and my mom was fairly young, she's a young mom, so she's like, "No," but, yeah, so there's that.
Were you alive in the dark times before everyone had color? Were you
Bef
black and white?
Before the wheels on this car were created. Yes.
Were the wheels still square? They hadn't figured out the round wheels at that point.
You look like a Dr. Pepper ad right now.
Um,
Alright, budget.
uh, I did not look at it.
I did. I did. I got it. I'm on
Uh,
point.
so I'm gonna make a guess. I don't think this movie costs much. I'll, I'm gonna say 3 to 5 million.
You're right on, it was 4,000,000.
Oh, okay,
So
cool.
yeah. Um, so it's got 2 numbers, we got a gross and we got a worldwide gross. So go ahead and tell me what you think.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I know this movie was in theaters, and best I remember, I think it was a pretty short run. I think it was a pretty limited run. And I would bet that this didn't have like a major overseas release. I would bet that this movie worldwide probably was very scarce overseas, if at all. So I'm going to come in pretty low, and I'm going to say I bet this film didn't cross 3 million.
You looked at the numbers, you had to have.
No, I didn't. I really didn't.
So the gross on this was in the US was 3.1 mil. Worldwide though, they made 2 more mil, so for just under 5, so for 4.8 mil.
So okay, yeah. So I mean, I'm not far. I'm not on it, but I'm far. I'm not far off. I just I knew that this movie did not have a major release. It's not like you know, um, Terrifier 3 that was an indie film that got like a fucking 3,000 theater release.
Yeah, no, it definitely this wasn't one where, that, JT Molnar's gonna be able to retire off of this by any means.
Yeah,
He, you know what, this one's got the potential though, for me, I feel like this one's one of those ones that easily would become a cult classic in time. I think this one's one of those ones that people really need to see it to appreciate it, and it's a shame that a lot of people didn't know about it. But it's crazy to me too because when I did check out those other reviews, like I was saying, because I didn't, like I said, first time I saw this, I did not watch anything going into it. But watching these other reviews to see where other people felt about it, I was watching a lot of the shorts, but it was all people walking out of the theater after they had just seen this, like right off the instant review. And I'm like, okay, so a lot of people went to the theater, and then I saw the budget or the box office, and I'm like, oh god damn, not enough people went to the
yeah,
theater.
yeah, yeah. I was pretty sure that this film was only in theaters maybe a week or two. Like I don't remember this being in theaters
Super short lived,
long,
yeah.
long at all. And I think it was a pretty best I remembered it was a pretty limited run because and the only reason I kind of remembered that is because like I said, Rick from the whole damn enchilada praised this movie. He went to the theater and watched it, and by the time he was praising it, it was already on early digital. It was already out there, So I was like, and this was like a week after he went to the theater and watched it, and I figured that this film wasn't out there long.
Um, what'd you think of the music?
Uh, I'm gonna be honest with you. I didn't pay much attention to the music, but it was all the same artist, wasn't it?
Yes, so what's her name? Z Berg,
Mhm.
I think it is. She did all the singing songs in there except for one. There was one other song that was done by the director's mom. But and also no, wait, mixing up movies. Next week's the other part. Directors like to put their own family in the movies. That's all. Yeah, no, it was the score too, though, I thought was really good as well, though. So I appreciated all of
I
it.
thought to me, you know, and I can't remember much about the score. Nothing really stands out to me, and I didn't note anything on it. But what I'm recalling, thinking about it, I feel like the score felt very 70s.
It did, actually gave me vibes for Clockwork Orange. It's a very, like, almost, or Halloween even, just that
Yeah.
like, it gave, like, these little moments of, adrenaline, where it needed it. It set the mood very well.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was remembering. So, uh, reviews. It's your movie, so I go first, unless you just
Sure.
want to.
No, go ahead.
All right. So we've been on here for the past, I don't know, probably 35, 40 minutes, praising so much about this film. And I stand by everything that I've said for the past 40 minutes. I stand by that it's beautifully shot. I stand by I love the colors of this film. I stand by the acting is just top tier acting. These actors need to be doing more than what they have been. And not that they've not been doing much. These guys have actually done a lot of acting, but they should be on to bigger, better things because their acting in this film was fucking fantastic. However, again, I stand by what I've also said for the past 40 minutes. The first 50 minutes for me, I could not latch onto. It wasn't that the pacing was bad. I love the out of sequence chapters. It makes total sense. But the first 50 minutes was not for me. And I think some people, this first 50 minutes is not going to be for you. Now, the people that can grab a hold of what's going on in the first 50 minutes, you're going to love this film. You're going to love it start to finish. But that first 50 minutes of this film killed this movie for me, just to be brutally honest. Now, that's not me saying I'm not going to recommend this movie. This movie, I highly recommend this movie for what it is and for the acting and for everything the director did with the shots, the cinematography, the how he tied the story together, doing the chapters out of sequence is fucking brilliant. But I'm giving it a fairly low rating for what it is because the first 50 minutes I could not latch on to. Where the last 50 minutes I fucking loved. So I'm going to meet this a little below the middle and I'm going to give it a 3.2.
That's fair. That's not horrible. I thought you were gonna go lower.
No,
Um,
no, no, no. The film's too beautiful to go below a 3. This film is absolutely gorgeous and the actors are fantastic in it. The storytelling is fantastic in it. It's just that first 50 minutes again, I couldn't latch onto it and it's a bit of a annoyance for me. I hate to feel that way about a movie that I'm praising so much, but the first 50 minutes were almost an annoyance for me toward the last 50 minutes where I was just like, okay, I love this film. So I kind of have a love hate with this film because of that.
no, I can understand that. All right, for me, this one is definitively what I want in an indie film, start to finish. I liked everything I saw. I didn't have high expectations going in. I went in and I immediately start watching a movie that has basically started and made me have a whole picture painted in my head of how the rest of the movie is going to go. I'm the guy with my ADHD where I wanted, like, within the first 5 minutes, I'm trying to predict the end already. I can't help it. It's just what I do. And this movie did not allow me to do that. So for the way that the out of sequence chapters went, for the way that it all built up, that first 50 minutes was actually great for me, as well as the rest of the movie. The cinematography was great. The 35 millimeter aspect was amazing. The ending sequence was beautiful too. And I cannot speak more highly of these two actors that led this movie so well. Their intensity, their dedication, they really, really went all in on these characters, and I could actually feel when things were happening. Like, so when they were hitting each other, hurting each other, shooting, biting, I was like, "Ooh, ooh," like, I was kinda cringing with them, and I don't do that a lot. So when an actor's going that hard into their role that I can feel those things, I gotta appreciate the hell out of it. I do feel like this movie in time will be a cult status. I have to feel that way because I would be sad to see this movie not get more to just as I don't know, just more praise. It's just a good movie. So for me, I'm not quite in the 4 realm. I am at a 3.9 on this, because I gotta have certain standards for what a perfect 5 is for me, and, I feel like 3.9 for this film, being an unexpected contender that it became to me is fair.
Yeah,
3.9 nerds.
yeah, and I could have went either way. And if I just liked that first 50 minutes a little more, I would have been right there with you. So
No, and you know what? To just talk on that point a little bit more, and JP just keeps saying the first 50 minutes, but what he's getting at is the sexuality and the brutality kind of that's happening in that moment is a lot. So if you're not a person who's a fan of that, if you're somebody who does not care for the idea of SA scenarios, then might not be for you. But if you're somebody who just likes a good kind of serial killer horror thriller thing going on, then this could be for you.
alrighty. Film recommendations. Do you have any?
Um, I don't know if I wanna do a film or series in this situation. Um, by the time this airs, you guys will probably see it, one of my reels is gonna be covering this, but I recently stumbled onto the Apple Plus TV series, Foundation, and as a sci-fi lover, this is one of the best series I've seen in a long time. It is pretty beautiful in the way that it's shot. It's got amazing scenery, amazing story. I try to explain it in my reel that I was doing that it's like if you had Dune with a dash of Star Wars, a dash of Farscape, and even for the video gamers out there, a dash of Mass Effect, and you've got Foundation, and it's so good. I'm only halfway through the third season. There's only 3 seasons currently, but this show is just way better than I anticipated. There's even a sequence in a club, it's like a nightclub, but it's done so well, you feel like you're in the Mass Effect game or you're in a Star Wars, cantina, like, it's just so good. Um, but yeah, so Foundation, check it out.
Okay, so I'm gonna recommend a 2021 movie, and I've seen this movie a couple times. And actually, a reason I'm recommending it is I just actually bought it on digital, and I believe it may be available on Tubi or something like that, or maybe Netflix. I can't. It's on one of them. It is on streaming. But I called it on sale for like $5, so I ended up buying it. Um, it's a movie called Mender or Meander, Meander. I'm not sure how it's pronounced. Never have known exactly how it's pronounced. But I watched this movie not long after it first came out in 2021. I've watched it a time or two since then, and I fucking love this movie. If you've never seen it, and it's about this girl. It's a science fiction horror film, suspense film. Probably more suspense, sci-fi than horror, but it is pretty horrific. Um, this girl basically gets into a car, and she wakes up in a tube, and she figures out that she has to keep moving through these tubes and has to figure out how to get out between each tube within 10 minutes of each other because the tubes erupt into flames, fire. The tubes burn out, and so she's constantly trying to maneuver and figure out. It's almost not really Saw. I hate to compare it to Saw, but very, there's things that she has to do to figure out how to get through these tubes, all while she's having like dealing with trauma from her past. Like it's a very weird movie, but I really fucking like this movie. And uh, if you've never seen it, check it out. And I mean, even like looking at the Rotten Tomato scores, the Rotten Tomato scores on this will tell you that the critics have it at 87% and the fans have it at 78% on Rotten Tomatoes. So it's kind of everybody who has seen this movie kind of really like this film, and I'm one of them.
Did you mean Meander?
Maybe it's Meander. Maybe it's how you
Meander,
say.
okay.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. No, I was looking, I was trying to find it, and I'm like, "I'm not finding it." That I 'cause I saw a bunch. There's actually 3 different movies called Meander, but once you started explaining that, I saw it. So, no, yeah, I haven't seen this. I
Yeah,
don't
it and
you
yeah, it's spelled Meander. I was never sure how to pronounce that, so
how did you watch this with your claustrophobia?
it was hard. I'm not gonna lie. It was actually made for a very intense experience for me, when I watched it because of my claustrophobia. But the movie's constantly moving too, so it's like um, it it gets interesting, and there's more to it. I don't want to give the ending away because there's a lot more to this ending of this film that is important. That really to me puts this film over the top on why I love it.
Yeah, I don't think I get the wife to watch this because her claustrophobia would not let she freaked out in The Descent. That's like me watching The Fall.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I didn't freak out in the descent because that stuff moves pretty quick, and then
Yeah.
once you're past the first 20 minutes of that film, it opens up and just becomes a monster film.
Alright.
Alrighty. Uh, Once again, CineNerdsPodcast.com. And next
Next,
week, go ahead.
Alma and the Wolf. I
Yeah,
was gonna say
next week.
Alma and the Wolf is our choice for next week.
Yeah, so
JP's choice.
yeah, my pick, Alma and the Wolf. So check us out next week. Watch it before the episode if you can. Until next time, talk to you later.
Later.